Hello. So in this video, we're going to have a look at the quadratic formula, and this is a way of finding out those values of x if all else fails. So I cannot emphasize enough that you should try to solve the problem that you've got, the quadratic equation that you've got, by other methods first. There's nothing wrong with this one, but because there's a lot of calculations involved, it does end up running the risk of you making a mistake as you go along. Okay, first of all, just a reminder that the general form of the quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. B can be 0 and or c can be 0. Just keep that in mind. A can't be 0 because if it was, it wouldn't be a quadratic. So if it's like 3x squared plus 2, that is still a quadratic. It just means that b equals 0. Okay, so with that in mind, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. The quadratic formula says that x is therefore equal to, I'll even put a therefore sign in, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Do note the plus or minus here, which means that it will give us those two solutions that we are often finding in a quadratic formula, in a quadratic equation. Okay, it means that at the end we'll have negative b plus that and negative b minus that as our two solutions. And when I look at an example, you'll see what I mean. Now, in this video, I'm going to go through a basic example, and then in a follow-up video, I'll go through a few complex ones, just trying to chunk it down a little bit for you. Why does the formula work? I'm going to do a bonus video so you can see that as well. It comes from completing the square, but I won't spoil that for you now. I'll move on with the example, the first example here, and the only one for this video. My preference, you can do it in your head, but it doesn't hurt to actually write it down, is to start off by writing down the values of A, B, and C. Note that C is equal to -1 because the general form of the equation is plus C. So if I've got a subtraction 1 at the end, it means that C must be -1. So do keep that in mind when you're doing these problems. Okie dokie. Therefore, x is equal to negative b, so -5, plus or minus the square root of b squared. Now, what I tend to do is I try not to do too much at once. I use brackets and do my substitution first. B squared, so 5 squared, minus 4ac. And note that I just leave the drawing of the bar to the end so I don't know how long to make it. So I just do a substitution all over 2 multiplied by a, which is 2 in this instance as well. Now I'll do the calculation step. -5 plus or minus the square root. And this is where you might be able to do more in your head, but I'll do it in 2 steps just to be clear. 25 minus 4 2s are 8. 8 times -1 is -8. So this ends up being +8 all over 2 times 2, which is 4, which gives us -5 plus or minus the square root of 33 all over 4. Okay, so that's basically it. But note that is 2 solutions. So it would be right and just, I'm going to squish it in here. It would be right and just to finish off by saying x equals -5 plus root 33. Do that 3 a bit better. On 4, or x equals -5 minus root 33 on 4. They are our 2 solutions, and you could plug that into a calculator if you needed to get an approximation to work out, for example, the x-intercepts of an equation. Okay, I'll leave it there, and in the next video we will do a couple more examples. Cheerio!